Hello and welcome to our weekly advisory and information portal, The Health Show on Nta News24. I am Salome Eferimo, your host. So this program will focus on two critical topics that are very important to us: our children, caring for our children's health, and tackling the growing concern of obesity with phytomedicine. Let's begin the discussion with our children. Our children have been out on a long break. They have met friends, they have traveled, they've met different kind of environments, they've played here and there. And with the rains that are setting in, the rain's still on, it is important for us to look out for some things around them, especially their health. How do we identify a child that's not feeling well after all of these interactions with the outside world? We shall be looking at this, and also we'll come back to you to tell you how to use phytomedicine to manage obesity. In the studio with me, I have an important person who's going to be doing that with me. I'm joined by Dr. Gregory Williams. Dr. Williams is a consultant general at the Medform Clinics and a member of the Royal College of General Practitioners in the United Kingdom. He's a medical practitioner in Abuja, and he'll be taking us through this path we want to go through this afternoon. Dr. Gregory, you're welcome.
Thank you.
We'll go on a short break and we'll come back. We'll start our conversation. Don't go anywhere. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Gregory, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
And like I've said, I've told our viewers, we'll be hearing a lot from you concerning our children. I call them little lilies, beautiful people around us. How do we ensure that they are keeping well, and what should we be looking out for at this time that they are going back to school?
It's a very important topic. First of all, thank you and good afternoon to our viewers out there. Our children, yes, they are prized possessions, and you've rightly said they've just come from a very long break. Many different interactions, friends, families, different countries, possibly different states within the country itself. And as they're preparing to go back to school, we need to be very vigilant. They could be harboring certain types of underlying conditions. The main ones tend to be respiratory in origin, meaning to do with their breathing system, or they are some what we call gastrointestinal symptoms. Common conditions, things like diarrhea, they may present with abdominal pains. But let's look at maybe, for example, the respiratory system, which tends to be one of the more
Okay.
So we're talking about the upper airways, breathing, the lungs, yes, and what sort of symptoms or what sort of signs can present that it could cause concern for parents, or what should we be looking out for before the children go back to school. So the common things are things like sore throat, runny nose. The children may come with a cough that is persistent. Sometimes this cough can either be quite dry, or it might be what we call chesty, meaning it sounds like there's something else on the chest of the child. They may also have fevers, and this fever could go on. It may just be for a day or two, but it could persist for quite a few days. So if we're seeing this type of symptoms, we need to be a bit vigilant as to what is going on and look into it properly so that we can address these concerns.
Okay, sometimes some of these kids present with some pains under their jaws, and yes, with a running nose, and with wheezy breaths, you know. Yes. What does that indicate?
Well, the common conditions in children tend to be more of a viral origin, meaning they're caused by viruses. And yes, these can cause sore throats. So the glands in the neck, our body's first line of defense when you breathe in. So these tend to swell up as a means of fighting off some of these viruses and bacteria that we take in through our airway system. So the child will typically have a sore throat. They might have difficulty swallowing, certain types of foods. And there is one of the conditions we need to be concerned about. A child may say, oh, it's painful to swallow. but they're still able to swallow with some difficulty. But if a child is presenting and they say they can't swallow anything, especially if they can't swallow liquids, definitely it is cause for concern, because whatever swelling is going on in the throat needs to be addressed by a medical practitioner or a nurse to ensure that there is nothing obstructing the airway of the child which could cause further problems. You mentioned something very important, which is wheezing. So wheezing is usually a sign that there is some level of compromise with the airway, and airway compromise has to be dealt with quite swiftly. In children, certain conditions can cause this, asthma being one of the more common conditions that can lead to wheezing. But there are also some other viral infections that can affect the chest, and because of the viral infection, it causes swelling and a buildup of mucus in the bronchial tubes, which is the breathing passages. This buildup of mucus is what leads to the wheezing sound that we hear. The danger there is that if this swelling and blockage persists or it gets really severe, that could lead to a very dangerous situation for the child. So, if a parent hears the child breathing sound different, or they start experiencing this wheezing sound, definitely they should take the child to an emergency facility, medical facility.
Okay. Everything you've described is already happening. That is, you see it happening.
Yes.
Preventive health care for children. Yes. How do we prevent them from presenting with these situations you are describing?
It's a good question, and there are different ways about that. I like to stir the line of good nutrition, and also the line of also just a good upbringing of the child. What do I mean by good nutrition? Ensuring that your children have access to fresh fruit and vegetables. Also ensuring that they have adequate supply of fresh, clean drinking water. Why? The child needs to be hydrated. And if you're hydrated, if you're well, then the likelihood of you becoming unwell is less. If the child has a very good nutrition, then it builds their defense system. There is a role there sometimes for multivitamins, especially in children who may not have access to enough fresh vegetables and fruits, or who may not have access to maybe your full 2 or 3 square meals a day. So in those circumstances, supplements can help to add in the missing nutrients that they may lack from the food that they can't access. Another aspect of this preventative healthcare is in terms of immunization. Sometimes there are many misbeliefs out there, so parents may be skeptical about certain types of immunizations. But ensuring that the child has gotten all of their routine immunizations, especially for things like influenza and meningitis, and also some of the viral conditions that could lead to conditions that can affect them later in life. Having these vaccines at an early age is important because it helps to build the children's immune system and gives them that defense that they need. So it's really important that we focus on those areas in the early childhood. But more importantly, like I said, nutrition, key.
Now, I'm aware that it's important to hydrate our kids properly.
Yes.
At this time when the weather is cold, in our season
Yes.
now it's rainy,
Yes.
what is the temperature of water you advise for kids to take? Because kids will tell you, no, I want ice cream, I want very cold orange drink or
Yes.
something. But what would you advise as a medical practitioner for children to hydrate themselves with? Is it the cold drinks or water, or what kind of juices? What are you recommending for them?
Well, with water, I would say room temperature. Room temperature is always best. Yes, the cold drinks especially increases the risk of developing infections because of the cold and especially the lower temperature. But then if you're looking at fruit juices, obviously you can't take it when it's hot, so it's better just at least cool, but not, I would say, not too ice cold, because that also has its own implications in terms of slowing down your digestive system as well. But like I said, water, room temperature, juices, normal room temperature in the fridge is fine.
What about their clothing? What should they be wearing at this time as they go back to school? Yeah. Should they be lining themselves up, or what do they need to wear?
Well, definitely some undergarments would be good in terms of maybe some vests to keep warm. Some children are more sensitive to the cold than others, so you could use a small jackets, the warm jackets, or sweaters, long sleeves just underneath their school uniforms. That can really help. And because, you know, with the rains and everything else, they're exposed to different temperatures. Even during the day, the temperature might fluctuate. They may feel hot at some point, other point they feel a lot colder. And this change in the temperature may also predispose to them developing respiratory infections as well.
Okay, so what kind of counsel can we give to our children in terms of looking after themselves, even at that age? What do you tell them simply that can help them guard against all these symptoms we're talking about?
Okay, well, some of the things we can do, because kids will be kids, they're going to interact with their friends, they're going to play. So some of the things we can try to instill in them is when they have a cough or cold, for example, to cover their mouth when they cough so that they don't spread germs to their friends. We can also talk to them about hand hygiene and hand washing hygiene. You know, if they have a cough and they're coughing to the end, try to wash their hands before they eat their food or they're handling foods that they're going to put into the system. Make sure that hands are washed with soap and water and dried. We can also talk to them about their clothing, not getting wet in the rain. And if they do get wet in the rain, at least try to get to somewhere where they can get the change of clothing, warm clothing on, so it minimizes the risk of...
Dr. Gregoire, thank you so much for the insight. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll give you more hints on how to look after these little lilies we're talking about and how to make them happy and healthy. Don't go away.
Health is wealth. Folding letters and insightful information in Medicare and health technology. Join us live on Nta News24 every Saturday at 4 p.m. as we delve into the current advancement in healthcare delivery in today's world. For sponsorship, participation, and inquiries, you can reach us on the following numbers: 0703 424 3412 or 0805 999 4444. Tune to Nta News24 on YouTube, DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 26, Star Times channel 101 and 433, and Free TV channel 703. Keep a date with us. 4 p.m. Saturdays with repeat broadcast on 8:05 p.m. Mondays. Don't miss it.
You are back to the health show on Nta News 24. Thank you for staying with us. We are going to continue our conversation on how to keep our children healthy, and most importantly, the persons who look after them when they are not at home or where we are not at home. What should we be telling them? Dr. Gregoire, what should we be telling our caregivers, teachers, the so-called house, I call them house assistants, I don't call them house girls, they are house assistants, those persons that look after them at home or when they're in school. What should you be telling them about looking after their health? Okay,
so it's a good point and it's good questions. The first point, let's start from the house before they get to school. So with the house assistants, I would say definitely they need to look at ensuring that the children are having good hydration, so their meals are packed with fruits, vegetables, maybe some water, ensuring that they're well clothed before they step out in terms of undergarments and warm clothing before they leave the house. And also they could give them a small handkerchief that could keep with them. If they have a cough or cold, they can cough into that, they come back home and they can get this washed. When they move to the school environment with the teachers, we need to look out for the signs and symptoms of children who are unwell. If the children are unwell, we need to alert the parents so that maybe the children can go back home until they're better. That reduces the risk of passing infections onto other children within the school. Before you know it, you can have an entire classroom that is sick. So that's one thing. The other thing is if they notice that the child is coughing, also they can talk about hygiene, ensuring that the children are washing their hands after coughing, also coughing into their elbows or into a handkerchief if they have one present. Other thing is that just in terms of ensuring that the child is warm, the environment is conducive for learning. So if they notice a child has a runny nose or is just feeling a bit unwell, take them to the nurse in the infirmary so that they can be looked after and hopefully stem anything from getting too complicated.
Okay, now what's your final word for parents went up with taking all of this care and the kids finally fall ill?
Yes.
What should they do?
Okay.
And who should they be looking out for? Should they be looking out for just anybody? Who are you asking them or advising them to go to for?
Okay.
First point of call.
All right, so the first point of call as a parent, well, you want to take them to see a medical professional. Most probably would be a medical doctor. In some clinics, depending on where you're based, you may not have access to a medical doctor, but at least there's a clinic nurse who can attend to the child. But you go to your family doctor, which should be the first port of call, where your family doctor can assess the child, see what is going on, and take the appropriate steps to ensure that the child gets better. If the family doctor is not available, general hospital, and if you go to the general hospital, the emergency department, at least the on-call doctors can review the child, make a decision as to whether or not that child may need more specialist intervention, for example, the care of a pediatrician. So that would be the first advice I'd give to parents, that take the child to a medical facility to get reviewed and assessed properly in terms of further management.
Okay, so where does the primary healthcare clinics come in this?
The primary healthcare clinic should really be your first port of call, but as we are well aware, our system is not as robust as we would like it to be. So those are always may not be well equipped to attend to all of the emergency needs. So generally, patients tend to go to the main hospitals. We run a primary healthcare center in Wuse, and what we try to ensure is that at least the first steps of medical intervention is provided in terms of assessment, looking at assessing the child's breathing, assessing the well-being, and just general health of the child. Most times I would say to parents, at least once a year, get the child to have a general health check done. Ensure that the child's vaccinations are up to date. And in case of children who suffer with chronic conditions like asthma or maybe some other sort of respiratory conditions that are causing some problems, at least 2 to 3 times a year, the child should have a general health check to ensure that all is well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Greg Warumio Williams, for the insights you've given us today. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at our health personality of the week. You can't believe who it is. Watch out.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our health personality of the week is Dr. Ibrahim Wada, founder of the Nisa Medical Group. He hails from Anyagba, Kogi State. A graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, in 1980. He attended St. Charles College, Ankpa, Government Secondary School, Dekina, and Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He obtained a Master's of Business Administration in International Hospitals and Healthcare Management in Germany. He is a Fellow of Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists in the United Kingdom, Fellow of the West African College of Surgeons, and has held consultant posts at Burnhall Clinic, Cambridge, in 1992 to 1994, at Gwagwalada Specialist Hospital from 1994 to 1999, and a chief consultant at the National Hospital, Abuja. He became the medical director of Gariki Hospital, Abuja, from 2007 to 2009, and now the medical advisor. Dr. Ibrahim Wada is a recipient of the National Award of the Officer of the Order of Niger, OON, conferred on him by the Federal Government of Nigeria in 2006 for his groundbreaking works in the field of in vitro fertilization, IVF, in medicine. When history was made in 1998 with the first government-authenticated IVF done by Dr. Ibrahim Wada at Nisa Premier Hospital, an internationally acclaimed gynecologist and fertility expert. Dr. Ibrahim Wada has authored more than 15 academic peer-reviewed journals and published 2 books, The Second Chance and PPP in Health. His achievements in the medical field cannot be overemphasized, as he has contributed and is still contributing his quota.
Welcome back from that good profile of our personality of the week. Next, we are going on to look at phytomedicine. We'll be talking about obesity and how to manage it using phytomedicine with Professor Ben Hamadu.
One in every 8 is obese, with the adults having an obesity record by the year 2022 of 2.5 billion, whereas in the juvenile area we have 890 million children overweight. And usually when you have this obesity, the indices, just like the BMI, body mass index, if it's not within the normal range of weight over height square, must be less than 25 or equals to 25 for you to remain within a jurisdiction of good health. And in most cases, when there is obesity, these figures are increased. And when they are increased, they cause damage to the heart, to the blood vessels, to so many things within the system. The issues with high blood pressure, the issues with diabetes, the issues with, in fact, even fertility issues, so many other things are as a result of this obese situation. It scatters all the indices. It makes all the sicknesses possible. And once the system is that scattered, you find a lot of medical issues associated. And in similar fashion, once you bring starvation, you reduce your food intake, you do exercise, you do other related things, and the weight starts going down, and the BMI starts equalizing the standard proposed, you see that most of these illnesses run away. So this is how obesity affects us in the entire world. And for us to be free out of most of the illnesses, we have to be very, very careful not to develop increase in weight. Weight is a major issue. The number of deaths as a result of obesity have increased from year to year. 5 million deaths all over the world as a result of obesity. It's a huge one. You are not sick, but just because you are obese, you can die. So we need to be very, very careful. We need to regulate in our diet, in our exercise, in our eating healthily, and so that we do not just become obese. When we talk about diabetes, obesity is there, it's mentioned. When we talk about high blood pressure, issues of obesity comes in. When we give too much workload to the heart, we give too much workload to the kidney, we are creating a room for kidney diseases, for heart diseases, and what have you. And these are not diseases that can be easily managed. Yeah, for obesity, we just take some combinations of sulfate 6, DAPS2, and ordinary DAPS1. When these natural products are combined, you see that the fats are burned off, even with or without exercise. And before you know, the accumulated fat in the stomach starts going down. If the stomach were protruding before, the stomach will start going down. And before you know, every other thing takes shape.
Oh, thank you. And I hope you've learned one or two things from our program today. how to look after our children, and how to look after yourself. We call them orobo in Nigeria, but it's obesity. And our foods are very tempting. You have to manage yourself very well to be able to keep off overeating and, you know, putting on weight unduly. Thank you very much for signing in on behalf of my executive producer, supervising producer, the entire production crew. I'd like to thank you for watching, and don't forget to catch a repeat of the program at 8 p.m. on Mondays. I thank you very much. My name is Salome Feremo. See you next week.